Hello! Yes, it's me again, Melody Meadows, the girl from TikTok who is hyperfixated on Project Eden's Garden and won't stop listening to the Dance of Life and Death. At least listens to it 8 times a day. If you have seen my page, you're probably aware of the Fate Stay Night X Project Eden's Garden crossover that I started making. And for those that don't, if you want to know how the shit snowballed, to basically explain, after I finished watching the first episode of Ufotable's Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, not the Studio Dean stuff, because it apparently sucks. But yeah, after I finished the first episode of Ufotable's Unlimited Blade Works, I came to an absolutely horrifying and heartbreaking realization that Sakura from Fate Stay Night and Ulysses from Project Eden's Garden suffer the same type of trauma. Yep. They're both lab rats. And they're both physically, emotionally, and mentally fragile because of it. Isn't that lovely? And of course, because of that, my beautiful, brilliant brain, for some reason, decided that they should be siblings. Because of course it did. Sometimes I wonder what's wrong with you, but then I came to another realization that all of the Project Eden's Garden cast, including Tozu, would all look at Sakura's trauma and go, "Ah, hell no, we have to save this poor child, get her out of that house right freaking now!" Because, they're all sensible people. If you know Sakura's trauma, you know Sakura's trauma. If I have to explain it, how can I explain it without both going into, spoiler territory or triggering people? Or possibly causing nausea? I'm gonna try anyway. Sakura was basically a part of the Tosaka family, being Rin's actual biological younger sister, but then was given to her adoptive grandfather, Sakura Matou, and basically had live worms placed inside of her body. And it gets worse! One of the worms that actually wormed its way up to be close to her heart actually had a piece of the Grail. Yes, the actual Holy Grail. And she was basically being trained to be an artificial Grail vessel by Zoken, while also being a vessel for the only Avenger servant in the Avenger class, I'm gonna remind you. Which my mom actually told me is Angry Man. Well, given his backstory, I don't blame him for being an angry man. But yeah, and because they're sensible people, the entire cast would be absolutely horrified, especially Teen Tragedy, aka Wolfgang, Grace, Winona, and Ulysses, especially Wolfgang and Ulysses. I feel like those two would go, they would fly into an absolute rage. Wolfgang would be like, you know that meme that goes, "Who's been messing with my baby?" Yeah, he would be like that. And Ulysses would basically take a flamethrower to Zoken. I can't help but imagine that, okay? But yeah, basically, they would all, go bananas over this. Tozu would kidnap Sakura, quote-unquote, and, put her with the, PJG cast, and they would basically adopt her. That's the gist of this crossover. Yep. Me taking her out of the Nutsuverse, placing her with this bunch, and go, she's your family now. You're her family now. Take good care of her. Bye bye. Oh, boy, Chad, I am sorry. I am so unhinged. So, now that I've explained the crossover, I can explain my idea. And, yeah. You're gonna all have to hear it. I don't care what you think about it. As long as you listen to it all the way to the end, you're already a brave soldier, so thank you for that. I don't even care if you like the video. If you just watch it and actually think about it and consider it, that's enough for me. So, yeah. Originally, this was titled The Twisted Tales of Tragedy, because this was originally just supposed to be focused on teen tragedy, aka Wolfgang, Grace, Winona, and Ulysses. But my brain, because I latched on to all of the characters in the cast, which means I'm screwed, decided that no, we are going to have all of the cast be a part of this. And the rest of me just decided, okay, so, yeah, all of the cast got included, not just these four. And then after that, the title just did not stick. And I came up with a new title a few hours ago, so yeah. But what is the concept of this whole idea? Well, it's basically an interconnected web of 16 stories featuring Sakura going on an adventure with one of the cast to a dark, whimsical world from another property. Yeah, a giant crossover Subway sandwich, basically, that has a little bit of horror. Actually, the amount of horror depends on the property that Sakura and the other character get stuck in. Originally, I was just focused on finding dark, whimsical places that somewhat fit both Sakura and the other character. But then, I came up with the new name. The merry-go-round of whimsy and irony. Yeah, irony. And that basically helped me, because now I know exactly what to look for. So, how to go about this is I'll basically show you 4 examples of stories I have already decided, or are still busy deciding, or are sure of but haven't properly confirmed yet. And if someone brave enough who actually, for some reason, thinks that this is a good idea, wants to join in and help me find whimsical properties from like books or shows or games or whatever, don't be shy and step onto the stage. I would greatly appreciate your contributions and would love to work with you. You brave, brave soul. But yeah, basically, I am going to use the ideas of Team Tragedy that I cooked up because the idea originally started with just the 4 of them. So, yeah. Let's get into it, shall we? We'll start off with Grace, since she was the first idea I had in mind in regards to this idea. We'll start off with her. And basically, the idea is her and Sakura in the world of Bye Sweet Carol. Now, if you don't know what Bye Sweet Carol is, Bye Sweet Carol is a beautifully animated horror game about a girl named Lana who has been raised in a girls' orphanage. after her best friend Carol goes missing, Lana starts realizing that this orphanage is run by a bunch of bunny, rabbit, zombie-like monsters. And basically goes on a journey to find Carol. Also, she can turn into a rabbit at will. And it helps, it helps the player navigate smaller and more complicated puzzles. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, and this isn't just because of the rabbit thing, okay? The rabbit motif is only part of it. No, I'm actually looking at the messaging the game provides. Because, again, it's not just about the motifs or the dark whimsy, it actually has to relate to the character and be ironic to some degree. And By Sweet Carol is perfect, because the messaging in By Sweet Carol and its story, these are the messages. Misogyny, femininity, toxic masculinity, identity, raising your voice, the value of sisterhood. And there was something else I looked at. I haven't played the game or watched it yet. Still deciding on what to do. I really want to own it and play it myself, but in this economy, I'm gonna probably have to do a watch. Because PS5 games are frickin' expensive. Curse you, economy! But, yeah. Basically, these are perfect for both Grace and Sakura, and especially ironic in Grace's case, because while she preaches being independent and feminine and just being your own woman, she actually has a little bit of misogyny internalized with calling Winona a harlot, because that's there, and, no shame to Grace in terms of this. I mean, no one in a killing game related to Danganronpa has been bold enough, and, I don't blame her for a second. I mean, Wolfgang Akide is, Wolfgang Akide, but she did basically, latch onto a man. Well, technically they latched onto each other, but you get my point. Oh boy. But yeah, basically, aside from the rabbit thing, the messaging and ideas itself perfectly encapsulate both Grace and Sakura, and especially in the terms of the sisterhood. If you have seen my skits, you'll probably know that in my head, Grace becomes like the big sister that Rin could never be to Sakura, and in a similar way, Sakura becomes a little sister to Grace. I don't know, I'm getting the vibe of Grace having a little sister in her life at one point. But it's not a theory, and I ain't holding on to shit, because if I do, my heart will be absolutely crushed. So I'm not holding on to shit, okay? I'm not even gonna quote myself on it. So, yeah. But yeah, because of all these reasons, By Sweet Carol just seems to fit for this type of story I'm going for. So yeah, again, still need to decide if I'm gonna play it, which means I'm gonna have to wait forever, or watch it. I know I'm gonna have to wait forever, but I do so badly want to play it. The economy. Boy. Anyway, moving on. Wait. Shit. I almost forgot. Hold on. The name I basically came up with for this story is called My Darling Sister, which again references the value of sisterhood that I mentioned, and the bond that'll eventually form between Grace and Sakura. Okay, now we can move on. So the next story is Sakura and Ulysses in Little Nightmares. Because, yes, I've only started watching playthroughs of, like, Little Nightmares. I haven't really finished Very Little Nightmares yet. My friend, Echo, he will be mentioned a couple times throughout this. Said, in this economy, I think you should watch a playthrough. Unfortunately, he's right. So, basically, if you don't know what Little Nightmares is, it is basically a puzzle-solving horror game. Some are point-and-click, some are two-player. They go through a lot of formats, but it's basically the idea of children exploring nightmarish worlds and having strange names and basically being traumatized by scary monsters. Lovely, isn't it? But yeah, from what I gather of my experience with Little Nightmares so far, the messaging seems to be about childhood innocence, the true darkness that some children's imaginations can have, disobeying a toxic adult authority, the importance of strong bonds, and discerning whether something is a dream or a nightmare. Which is ironic in both of these fruitcakes cases. Because, well, neither of them were really allowed to be children. They both had to obey toxic adult authority. They lost their innocence very early in life. All the bonds they tried to form have quickly fizzled out. So they're recluse. And neither of them have gotten a good night's sleep in so many years. So they basically barely even have dreams, if they're even lucky, let alone nightmares. So the irony is very present here, as you can clearly see. But yeah, I've even already come up with aliases, like Little Nightmare style names for them. Ulysses' name is Paige, because he writes the stuff down. Basically, he and Sakura end up in, and before you come at me for not coming up with a proper story for Grace and Sakura yet, I do have one, but since I barely understand the proper story of By Sweet Carol, I'm not gonna mention it because I'm waiting for my brain to decide whether to watch it or play it so that I can understand the story. Okay, now back to the Little Nightmares thing. Basically, while exploring a part of the woods during a field trip, which Ulysses actually teaches for Sakura's class, a magic hole opens up and Sakura falls into it. Ulysses tries to catch her and pull her up, but he manages to grab her by the arm and then gets pulled in with her. They both end up in Little Nightmares world. And then they basically have to try and survive and get out while escaping monsters. Yeah. So, back to the alias thing. Paige is Ulysses' name because he documents all of their encounters with the monsters through writing them down in his notebook. Very Ulysses thing to do. Yes, yes. Picture is Sakura's alias, because one thing I do imagine is that Ulysses has an old-fashioned camera. He owns an old-fashioned camera that someone gave him, one of the cast gave him for his birthday, and he gives it to Sakura to help him with the documentation. And later, these objects become weapons. Ulysses' feather, I can't say feather sometimes. Ulysses' feather pen becomes like a sword, slashing through, like enlarging and then slashing through the monsters, while Picture's camera becomes like a gun. Like with the flash, the flash acts like a gunshot. The flash acts like a gunshot. That's what I have. And for their designs, I haven't come up with any yet because, like, again, these aren't concrete. This project might get abandoned if I get clowned on enough for this idea being absolutely nuts. But, yeah. Basically, the idea I have for at least the covering up of their heads, because that is a thing in Little Nightmares, is that Ulysses' glasses break with one of the lenses cracks and breaks, and he cleans it out so that if he ever decides to wear them again, he doesn't get his eye poked out by one of the sharp glass shards. And then he basically develops this, like, pilot, cap helmet thing that helps him see with all of these little, eyeglass lens things. These glasses lens things that help him see. So yeah, that's how he covers up his head in this universe, and how Picture covers up hers is through a red cloak that she wears, which is very similar to the Raincoat Girl and Six's yellow raincoat. So, yeah. And I do realize that people are going to compare that idea of the pilot cap thing to Alone from Little Nightmares 3. It is kind of inspired by that, actually. But yeah, Winona also has an alias in this one, and she's called Darling, which, the whole thing is supposed to be a mystery until, like, halfway through the game. And the reason her alias name is Darling is because that's how he refers to her in his writing. So, yeah. So, as you can clearly see, out of the four, Little Nightmares is, the one that's most thought out in this whole thing. Because, like, it's perfect. But as for the name, I'm having trouble. I'm thinking of something either like Little Nightmares Documentation of Monsters or Little Nightmares Dream Journal, but I don't know which one to go with or if I should go with either of them. So, yeah. Okay, next one is Winona, and I struggled when it came to her. There were so many good options for good ideas that fit, but the Discord buddy I will mention again, Echo/Dusk, he actually helped me here. What a legend. I presented all of my ideas, and I basically ended up with the original idea, which is BioShock. Yeah, BioShock. You remember BioShock? That game with the creepy robots you have to fight, and then the little sisters who can hear angels and are basically like super weapons, and then the ending changes depending on whether you save them all or kill them all. Lovely, isn't it? I know that there's like BioShock Infinite, which goes into some time travel stuff, but I'm focusing on the original BioShock here, okay? But yeah, basically that's the idea of BioShock. You're the protagonist, I forgot his name, but you basically are trying to investigate this underground sewer-like lab place with all of these little sisters. The little sisters are what you're investigating because they're basically little girls being trained to be like super weapons, and they're being injected with some sort of serum that turns them into that, and they're driven crazy. They mention angels screaming a lot, and you basically also have to fight the big daddies, which are robots that accompany these little sisters, and that's the only way you can get close to freeing a little sister is by beating their big daddy. Without context, that sounds so wrong. But yeah, I did recently come up with a good name for it, and it's called BioShock: The Opera House Story. Now, why is this ironic for Winona? Well, it's 'cause I don't know if this is intentional, but for some strange reason, she is giving off the energy of an exhausted mom. I am not even kidding. Like, she, in certain scenes, like, for example, when Cassidy is saying, I think it's safe to say the killer didn't use a flamethrower, Winona lets out an exhausted mom sigh. And of course, there's her reaction to when Grace said that specific line. I still laugh at the crack line used for that. Nasty. Oh my god, help. But yeah, for some reason, she gives me a vibe of a woman who avoids children, because she's afraid that if she gives them enough time, she's gonna feel obligated to take care of them. I am not holding on to shit, because if I do, my heart will be absolutely crushed. I just know it. But yeah, it's basically Sakura and Winona in BioShock. And why is it called the Opera House Story, you might ask? Well, it's 'cause there is opera, and Sakura's the opera singer. Basically, Winona and her company basically got a call about a strange underground opera house that, has a bunch of robots, and of course Winona's skeptical. At first she's like, yeah, sure, buddy, but then she actually becomes interested, and with Ulysses, Eva, and Ingrid, she goes to investigate it, and she is greeted by a very brainwashed Sakura, renamed. I can't decide on which name that she holds in this one, but yeah, she's basically brainwashed and renamed to be a little sister, or like a big sister, I suppose, since she would be the oldest of the little sisters, but that depends. So Winona and the crew basically attend one of these opera shows in secret and find it strange. And then they see a scientist experimenting on Sakura, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs because opera. Wait, why did I say that is the reason? But yeah, basically, Winona, Ulysses, Ingrid, and Eva are basically trying to figure out a way to get Sakura and the rest of the little sisters out of this underground opera house, shut it down for good, and get all of these creepy scientists locked behind bars. Yeah. And like a quarter way through, Sakura is unbrainwashed. Is that the term you use for it? Unbrainwashed? But yeah, that's the idea. So, finally we move on to Wolfgang. And I had this idea for a long time, and after watching the playthrough, because it was region locked, it just cemented it for me. And that game is Demo, specifically Demo Reborn. Yep, it was region locked. At least from what I could research, I could not get it on PS or PlayStation or Steam because it was region locked. Which is just lovely, isn't it? But yeah, watching a playthrough, aside from the piano thing, which I know you're gonna all look at me for, like, oh, it's because they both play piano and Demo's a piano-centered game. Haha, very ironic, haha. No, it's not that. It's not just that, okay? Again, the messaging of Demo goes with both Wolfgang and Sakura pretty well. The themes of Demo are about memories, true identity, letting go of the people you love. I worded that wrong, but how would you say it? Letting go. I would just say letting go. It's probably just letting go. But, letting go and living on with the memories of the people you love. Which is very ironic for Wolfgang specifically as well. Because, you can tell this man has not let go of his mom. This man... Don't let his poisonous fool you. This man is in the pool and up to the neck with mommy issues and daddy issues. Wolfgang, it's okay, bud. We know, okay? You can stop pretending now. And it's also ironic for Sakura because, she knows she has to let go of Rin because Rin doesn't want anything to do with her, but she cannot help herself. Anyway, so, what is Demo about? And specifically, I am referencing Demo Reborn here. Demo is about a girl named Alice who falls out of the sky into a building with a growing tree and a piano. She meets a shadow creature named Demo, and she basically is trying to find out the inner workings of this place with him alongside her. Should I spoil the ending? I probably should spoil the ending because of how, I said that one of the themes is about an older brother's love. So yeah, spoilers for Demo Reborn. Go watch it if you don't want to get spoiled. Basically, the shadow creature of Demo turns out to be Alice's older brother, who died after they both got hit by a car. And Alice has basically been in a coma this whole time, dreaming about her brother, and the whole dream is basically his spirit telling her that it's time for her to let him go. I actually wanted to freaking cry when I found this out, because from watching the trailers, I really thought that it was gonna be, oh, Demo's a lover. But it turned out that, he was her older brother, which is a nice change of pace from usual storytelling like this, where they usually turn out to be a lover that can't make it back with the protagonist to their real world, and they basically have to be brokenhearted. But instead, it was a really wholesome and heartbreaking story about an older brother saying goodbye to his younger sister. Like I said, the themes are about letting go and living on with the memories of the people you love and an older brother's love, which fits really well with my dynamic between Wolfgang and Sakura. Because, like with Toshiko, I definitely see Wolfgang taking Sakura in as, like, a little sister and being, like, an older brother / father figure to her, similar to how he is with Toshiko. And again, the little bit of irony, because this man has not let go of his mom. And this little lady has not let go of her older sister. So, and he would probably preach it to her, which just adds to the irony. So yeah, that's basically, now that you know about these 4 ideas, I think you can figure out, what I'm trying to do here. Again, it's basically Sakura and one of the PJG casts landing in a dark, whimsical world of another property and learning lessons, and that character basically becoming like family to Sakura and vice versa. Now, in regards to some of the stories I have versus some of the stories I need to be sure of, I have like placeholders, but like most of them haven't even been properly decided yet. So maybe, again, one of you brave souls who decides to give this the time of day is actually freaking interested and thinks this is a good idea for some crazy reason can help me figure this out. Alright, so here are the ones I'm definitely sure of. Jean and the book series Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. The story is basically about a young girl named Morgan Crow who is destined to die on her 11th birthday. But instead, she gets taken to a magical world called the 5 States of the Republic and has to figure out her knack in order to be able to stay in this republic. The irony here is, while Jean may give off the vibes of I'm trying to say Jupiter, Jupiter North, he might actually be in a little bit of an Ezra squall. If your readers know, you know. Eloise and Knights of Guinevere, heavy emphasis on not being able to fix things that you are either unbroken or can't be fixed. And the irony is, both Eloise and Sakura are constantly expected to fix the situations with their families and handle them. Eva and Cardcaptor Sakura. The messages in Cardcaptor Sakura are believing that you're something more and that there's something greater waiting for you out there. The irony is that, while Eva's always believed that, she's never gotten to explore it. Whereas, Sakura does not believe it and has never gotten to explore it. And finally, Diana and Madoka Magica. Because of the whole thing about being careful what you wish for, and the irony here is this irony or not? I don't know, but Diana has basically been said to make dreams come true by her reputation, and now she's experiencing hope and despair at the same time. Oh, I forgot to mention Mark and Over the Garden Wall. Yeah, when I realized that Over the Garden Wall fits Sakura and Mark, I realized how perfect it was. I don't exactly know what the irony is yet. Maybe some of you can help me figure that out. I just, think it's perfect. So, with that out of the way, here's the ones that still needs to be figured out. Let's go. Cassidy. Because I can't figure out a single thing for her. I was thinking maybe Alice the Manners Returns at first, but, doesn't really fit, so I'm gonna, get rid of that. Probably a good thing. I haven't finished Alice the Manners Returns yet, so, But, yeah, getting rid of that one. Kai and Alien Stage. It does fit him, but if something better comes along, and I'm definitely going to change it to that. Desmond and Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. Like I said, I really think it does fit him, and Sakura as well. But, like with Kai, if something better comes along, I'm going to change it to that. Jet and Centaur World. I do not know, I know it goes hand in hand with Mark and Over the Garden Wall, but, like, what would the irony be here? I have heard that from what I gather, Centaur World is about identity, from what I've watched so far. I need to watch the full thing, but, like, from what I've watched so far, the whole thing is about identity and accepting who you truly are, which is ironic for Jet because you can clearly tell he hasn't. Damon and Little Goody Two Shoes. Gonna watch a playthrough of it. But I just think it's also kind of funny because, like Elise, Damon would probably be like, I don't trust this, but then do it anyway and suffer the consequences. Dushko and the Owl House. Wait, no. That should actually go in the already decided category because it's perfect. The whole thing is about accepting who you are, exploring childlike wonder, and learning that magic comes from the heart. And the irony is that both Toshiko and Sakura have been adultified at very young ages, to the point where they're 14 and uncomfortably mature. So yeah, that as well goes into the already decided category because it's perfect. Am I missing anybody? I was gonna do Ingrid. I'm gonna move on to Ingrid, but I'm just wondering if I missed anyone. Nope, I haven't. And finally, Ingrid. Her placeholder is Arcane, but, like, I'm actually thinking that if I decide to either watch or play Iris Fall, I think I'm going to watch a playthrough. That Iris Fall might actually be perfect for her. There's a lot of cogs and building and mechanisms, and there's the message about being part of the machine. Yeah, it's Iris Fall. It's perfect. All right, Ingrid, you can go into the already decided group. Yay! But yeah, that's basically the batshit crazy idea of the merry-go-round of whimsy and irony. If no one pays attention to this, I completely, understand. This entire thing sounds like I mean on crack. I know it does. I know it does. You don't have to be ashamed. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It sounds like I made it on crack. But for those that do even give it the time of day with just a full video view, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for giving this your time. I know it's nuts and crazy and just but I greatly appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you enjoyed it somehow, making sense of all of my rambling and tongue mess-ups. You better work with me better next time, tongue. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy your day. This has been Melody Meadows, signing off. Much love. Goodbye. Wait.